hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show, a special edition here on a Saturday afternoon. But we were just treated to Pro Wrestling Eve's Wrestle Queendom 3. So I figured, a bit of a last-minute executive decision. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a post-show. That's it. You know what? I'm going to be sitting down to enjoy this. Why not just go all in on it, right? And just let's do something that I don't usually have a chance to do. So this is fantastic and I loved it. And what a good idea it was for me to watch the show in the first place. It was a good time. And we are going to have a good time here this afternoon right here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes, because yes, I do record this live right here on this YouTube channel. Not just this, I also record a weekly show every Thursday evening, 9 p.m. Eastern, called the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. And that's my regular staple outside of all the other stuff that I do. So that's fantastic, isn't it? It's just great that I'm here doing this again today, and I'm doing this live, and we have people joining us live in the chat, live watching right now. We have Kristen Ashley who's here. Hello, John Baez. Hello, Hail Pizza, Eat Satan. I listen, I concur with this statement. I am not fearful of the words that just came out of my mouth. Thank you for joining this afternoon here. I hope you all enjoyed Wrestle Kingdom. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it some more. And by the way, just before I go any further, if you are hanging out live right now, do consider giving the video a thumbs up here on YouTube. If you're listening to this on your podcast application, because the Mr. Warren Hayes Show is available on all podcast formats, do consider as well giving a like, a review, a subscription, a friend request. I don't know. It's always a great way to support everything that we do here at the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. When I say we, I mean me. You can also follow me on Patreon. I have a whole bunch of stuff there as well. And if you want to give a little more extra support to the Mr. Warren Hayes, just say a tad more. And you get all sorts of extra goodies over on patreon.com/MrWarrenHayes, including a patron-only post stream after the main stream every Thursday night. So that's always cool. You also get NWA Power, my recap show. You get that before everyone else as well. See, live recording for patrons only. Early access for patrons only. Yeah, look, there's all sorts of stuff. And by the way, tomorrow afternoon, 2 p.m., right here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes, I will be recording another special episode live. We're calling this the 2020 Wrestling Hopes and Wishes. Things that we would like to see happen in WWE, in AEW, in Impact, Ring of Honor, NWA, and more. We're going to be discussing all sorts of stuff. When I say we, this time I actually mean that there are other people. I'm going to be joined by Kristen Ashley of Bell to Bells, who is here in the chat with us, gracing us with her presence, of course. I'm going to be joined by JPQ, Big Paws on a Pup of the No Particular Angle podcast. And I'll also be joined by Joe Anthony Myrick, who hangs out at Daily DDT and also hosts the Daily DDT podcast. It's going to be a very positively focused with positivity is what we're going to do. So if you want to hear people dream big about wrestling in 2020 on what we as fans would like to see, come on over and join us. 2 p.m. tomorrow, Sunday, January 12th. Come and join us there. And there will be surprise appearances as well. There will be surprise appearances as well. And I mean legit surprise appearances. Not like, no, Warren has a sock puppet. No. Nothing like that. Like, we've got a couple of swervy swerves for you. If you join us tomorrow. That'll be good. True Markish, hello and welcome to the chat. Thank you for the very nice compliment. That's very, very cute. And yes, Pizza Satan, you can you can say whatever you want in the chat as long as it's very respectful. That's all we want. Respectful and kind. The mods will handle your ass if you get out of line. Trust me. Sounds good. So let's start talking about Wrestle Kingdom. That's what y'all are here for, really. I thought this was a really good show. It's the third edition. Did I say Wrestle Kingdom? Wrestle Queendom. Excuse me. I guess I'm still on a New Japan high. So yeah, absolutely. The third edition that they put this on, it really was a fun show. It was a really, really fun show. Let's just get right into it. Started off with the 15-woman Rumble. This was a Rumble that was made to link wrestlers, Eve wrestlers of the past, the present, and the future. These are all women all the participants were voted on by members of the Eve locker room, of Eve wrestlers. They voted for the women that they wanted to see within this Royal Rumble here. So it started off with Mercedes Blaze and Sky Smithson. They were the first two entrants here. Smithson basically had the uneliminatable. Is that a word? I think so. Let's consider it's a word just for the purposes of what we're talking about here. She had the difficult to eliminate run of this Rumble here. Everyone tried to kick her out, but she always maintained, always hung on. Then Nightshade was the third entrant. I love Nightshade. She's so good. She clotheslines both of them, even hits a pair of T-bone suplexes. Chikara comes in next. At this point, Mercedes hits a crazy neck breaker on Smithson, and they being Chikara and Mercedes, because they decided to double team to double up here, team up. They double teamed Smithson and Nightshade. But then Rebel Kinney was next in. She gets a huge reaction from the Eve crowd, and she pairs up with Smithson. So we have two pairs of women working with each other here. Next comes Livy Grace. Livy Grace, who comes out, and she pairs up with Nightshade, but they're friends. Two huge women, and they go after everyone. Misha East comes out next. She just goes right into it and starts eating crap. She just goes right in, and she starts getting messed around. Violet O'Hara, also known as Regan in some other areas, or in another moment in her career, I don't know exactly what you'd call it. She comes in, and boy, oh boy, they put over the fact that she's the smallest competitor, and she is. She's 4'11". Like, she doesn't even cross the 5 foot mark. But she comes in and goes up right on the top rope. She hits a missile dropkick on Smithson, a crossbody again from the top rope on Kinney and Blaze, and she goes back up on the top rope for another crossbody onto everyone, and then again for a somersault senton. Violet O'Hara, very, very ill-advised to start doing top rope shenanigans in a battle royal. The Duchess Louise Jane is next. Kira Chimera comes in next, and she hits a really hot tornado suplex on Kinney. Kara is next. Holly Barlow and the Princess Dianna of Eve comes in. Jeddah, but she doesn't even make it to the ring. She gets blindsided by Grace and Nightshade on the outside. They take her out. They post her. She doesn't even get into the ring because she was doing her songs. Nobody does it better. Walking around the ring, and then she gets blindsided, so she didn't even make it. Then afterwards, Dominita comes in. Bye. Now that is a mass of humanity. I looked up. She's billed at 310 pounds. 310 pounds, and she destroys everyone. She eliminates Holly Barrow. She eliminates Violet as well in a very scary spot that ended up being super safe. But when I was looking, I was like, oh my God, because she had her basically in a power bomb, spirit bomb position, and she just tosses her over the top rope to the outside. But there were people there to catch O'Hara, and O'Hara was somersaulted, basically, was able to land on her feet. That was, I was glad that it ended safely. Let's put it that way. And then Saraya Knight comes out, which was fantastic. That was a great. That was a great surprise right there. Woman who's been on the circuit for years. She is 49 years old. And I had tweeted out that she was the first ever Eve champion, but I was corrected very, very correctly on Twitter that she is the mother of the first Eve champion. And she eliminates Chimera and Cara. She teams up with Dominita, excuse me. To do some mayhem, but then at some point everyone in the ring outside of Knight is teaming up to get Dominita out of the ring to eliminate her. There we go. I can use words. And she's just standing in the back with her hands on her hips and she's just looking at it happen. She's not helping. If they had an alliance, boy, it just fizzled out like that. So she gets tossed out. Dominita does, and then Dominita assists on the elimination of Saraya Knight. So they start brawling on the outside, and they brawl all the way to the backstage area. That was fun. Then quickly, there's a whole bunch of eliminations that happen. Jeddah finally gets into the ring. Stitson eliminates Kinney, and they're friends, but you know, you sort of wonder, is there a breach happening here? Is there a problem? But no, they're cool. They fist bump. I wonder how cool that friendship's gonna stand, but we're not there yet. We'll talk about this stuff happened later on. So Stinson, that's it. They eliminate Skinny. She also eliminates, Stinson also eliminates Grace. And our final four are Mercedes Blaze, Jeddah, Stinson, and Nightshade. Quickly enough, Mercedes and Stinson get tossed. And finally, Jeddah gets one up on Nightshade, wins the 15-woman Rumble. Nobody does it better indeed. I really like Jeddah. This was a fun battle royal. Rumble. It's not the Royal Rumble. It's Rumble rules. And the thing here is that once, like I said, you know, I don't want necessarily to draw comparisons right and left, but because every promotion does its own thing, right? But there's something that I do have to underscore here. For the limited resources that a promotion like Pro Wrestling Eve has, limited production resources and monetary and so on and so forth, they put on a much more entertaining Battle Royal / Rumble match than AEW has been unable to do. They put on, let me start over. Pro Wrestling Eve put on a better Battle Royal than AEW has. And AEW has done it a couple of times. The Casino Battle Royals, and then they had a Battle Royal on TV a few weeks ago. And they all stink. They're all bad. They get confusing. No one gets their moment. Production is all over the place, missing some spots. Here, this was really, really well produced. Because everyone got in the ring, had their own moment, had a chance to shine in the ring, aside Misha East, because she just ate at the moment she got in. But you know what I mean? Everything clicked here. You had time to see everyone perform. It didn't become confusing. The camera got all the big spots. There were stories being told that you could follow. I mean, honest to God, AEW could learn something just from watching this. This was really, really well executed. I thought it was a lot of fun. Next match we had was Lana Austin versus Yuka Sakazaki, the current Joshi Pro, Tokyo Princess Champion. Tokyo Princess of Tokyo Champion Princesses. There's some fun back and forth early on in this match, and some one-upsmanship, one-up-womanship? Probably not. Sakazaki gets some explosive offense in, and then that ends with a great drop kick early on. Austin starts striking hard with striking really, really hard, gets a nice European uppercut on her, and a hard basement drop kick, and then she delivers another one after Yuka misses a sliding elbow. Man, Austin's drop kicks are harsh. Like, they were real powerful stuff. I dug it. Yuka plants Austin on her face at some point. She hits a great Hurricane Rana. They brawl all the way up the entrance ramp. Sakazaki teases climbing up the rigging, the screen rigging to dive off, but it's just a tease. Instead, what she does is a diving senton off the stage to the floor, which was still very cool. And there were no mats. There's no mats around the ring. They're directly on hardwood, so extra respect on that. There's a discus elbow by Austin, a spirit bomb, but it can't get the job done. Sakazaki hits a Falcon Arrow, and they go to the time limit draw. And this was a lot of fun. I could have taken easily another 15 minutes of these two women. This is one of my favorite matches of the night. I think outside of the main event, this is my favorite match. Both women are really, really good. This was clearly a clash of styles that worked real well. Sakazaki with the quick, explosive, a little more technical offense, while Austin she's just a powerhouse. Her power offense looks good and convincing. This was a real good match. I dug it. I dug it. Session Moth Martina versus Maki Ito went on here, and of course it starts with I like Martina matches, I really do, and I can understand why they're not for everyone, but I appreciate the character that is Martina, and I think it worked really well with Ito here, because not only was there a clash of styles in wrestling style, there was also a clash of styles in personalities and characters. This was a lot of fun. Martina, real early on, starts to grind on Ito, who doesn't know what to do. Ito tries to fight by delivering some forearms on Martina, but Martina just no-sells them. She takes her down with an elbow instead. Ito at some point is on the top rope. Martina goes to grab her drink. She takes a sip and spits it on Ito, and Ito starts to cry, but like 4-year-old, I just stubbed my toe, I am not used to feeling pain yet, crying. It was so good. She comes down, and Martina feels bad. The audience gets into it and starts chanting, "Say you're sorry," which she kind of does. But Ito sort of takes a hug apology and then stomps Martina's feet, and we're back into a match here. Martina hits her Bronco Buster, the pelvic thrusts up on the top, up on the turnbuckle. Ito takes a sip of Martina's drink at some point. She's like, "Yeah, well, I can do it too." And she's drunk. She's completely piss drunk. But she recovers. Hits a nice DDT on Martina, lays into her in the corner with some forearms, a Kokishi headbutt, big Enziguri and a spinning suplex by Martina follow to fight back, but Ito hits a diving headbutt off the top rope and taps Martina out in her cloverleaf. Fans of the show know, and I am not a fan of diving headbutts. I don't think anyone should do diving headbutts anytime, anywhere. And this is the kind of thing that breaks my heart. And I go, no, Ito, don't do it. Stop it. There's nothing good that comes out of diving headbutts. Hate it. This was a fun match, though. It was a fun match. And after the match, Ito grabbed the microphone and she started telling people, I won the match, so buy my t-shirt, buy my merch. And she just kept going over and over again. This was fantastic. This was really, really, really fantastic. It was, it was the comedy match, but you still got some solid wrestling. Like once after the drunk spot, you really got some really solid spots in here. Good luck to Martina heading over to Ring of Honor. I hope they treat you well, Martina. I hope they treat you like a star. Nor Phoenix Dianna defeated Zoe Lucas. Dianna is the hijab-wearing wrestler from Malaysia that got quite a bit of press recently. She's 19 years old, and she's here on Wrestle Queendom fighting Lucas. This was a great pairing, if only because you wanted Dianna to be this pure babyface. Getting Zoe Lucas in here, who is a despicable, hateable heel. It was a perfect pairing. And Lucas just goes after Dianna as the bell rings. So that was fantastic stuff. But Lucas dominates for the better part of this match. Dianna gets a Hurricane Rana, a crossbody from the top rope to the floor. And she hits a really nice Northern Lights suplex into a bridge as well. Lucas gets a DVD and a hell of a PK on her as well. But the match ends from a powerbomb position. Lucas has Dianna up in a powerbomb position, and Dianna gets a sneaky Rana roll-up win here. This was fine. This was an okay match. Dianna is 19 years old. She has all the time to grow in the world. I thought the match was okay, but that's pretty much it. Dianna still needs some polish. She's still very green, but she has a great future. She feels the business, and she has all sorts of great reflexes. She's no slouch. And she'll only grow and get better. I can't wait to see where she is even a year from now. Just really, really curious to see how far she's going to go. Want to say hello to people joining us in the chat right now. Wrestling with Johners podcast. How you doing? Thank you for being here. Misao17 as well. Thank you for being here. And the 21st century's most important artist of all the entire 21st century, Ilias Arts, is here. Everyone bow down. By God, what an honor to have him here. For those of you who join me as I start the stream, usually I have a pre-roll just to kick off the stream. And another one of Ilya's wonderful arts is up there. Me and Otis sharing a ham. God bless. God bless you. Eve Championship title match on the line. Rhea O'Reilly retained her title against Laura DiMatteo. O'Reilly is accompanied by Livy Grace and Nightshade. And DiMatteo, and they go after, well, actually, Laura DiMatteo goes after all three women, and she's able to take them all down. She and O'Reilly start brawling all around the ring. Grace and Nightshade get back involved. However, eventually DiMatteo cannonball sentons off the stage onto the heels in a really, really cool spot. They finally reach the ring, and the match starts. There was a whole sequence of brawling outside the ring, which was a lot of fun, with everyone getting involved. But the match hadn't started yet. They eventually do reach the ring. They start the match. with a pinfall attempt by DiMatteo. O'Reilly kicks out, and then they go back outside the ring to fight some more. DiMatteo actually launches O'Reilly into the stands, right into the chairs, which was a cool spot. And she fights off Grace and Nightshade again, but they brawl backstage. When I say brawl, I mean DiMatteo and O'Reilly. They brawl all the way backstage, and they come back around from the top entrance basically, and O'Reilly just manhandles DiMatteo, tossing her into the screen rigging. Even kills the feed at some point. And they eventually do get back into the ring, where O'Reilly just takes care of DiMatteo real nice and proper. But DiMatteo does mount a comeback. She hits a code breaker, some kicks, and a DDT. Nightshade and Grace interfere to keep the match from ending. They distract the referee, and there's a masked person who arrives and missile drop kicks Laura DiMatteo without anyone seeing. And we wonder who it is. Who is it? What's going on? But it doesn't put DiMatteo away. O'Reilly hits what is essentially a Death Rider, right? And she actually hits two. She hit a double underhook DDT. She hit one a little before it couldn't get the job done, but she hits a second one of those high angle ones that the high angle ones that Jon Moxley does in New Japan, essentially. In case you're not quite familiar with O'Reilly's execution, and that gets the job done. The ending felt a little strange because the referee you're not quite sure she called for the 3, but she did call for 3, asked for the bell to ring. I hope DiMatteo's okay. I hope so. But Rhea O'Reilly retains here at Queendom, and the mystery person is revealed to be Sky Stetson, who earlier was doing it. Earlier was taking her friend out of the 15 women rumble, and was telling her, no, everything's cool. She was telling that to Kenny, and everything's fine, no sweat. But now she's aligned herself with O'Reilly, with Livy Grace, with Nightshade. By God! Everything thickens. All the plots thicken. The Medusa Complex became the new Eve Tag Team Champions by defeating the Woke Queens and Giselle Shaw and Sami Zayn. Yes, Giselle and Jane. In a 3-way elimination tag team match. This was a real good match. That was a little scary. We'll get to that, but this was a really good match. Jane and Evans have a real good exchange early on. Evans with some kicks. There's a nice follow-away slam off the ropes as well. Valkyrie hits a nice blockbuster and a standing moonsault. Shaw avoids Millie McKenzie like the plague, but Sami Zayn comes in to try and get the ambush on her, but instead she eats a swinging neck breaker. The Medusa Complex come back with a nice double super kick, but they get dropped by the Woke Queens. And then eventually Giselle and Jane get back in control. Jane gets a Northern Lights suplex on Keitel of the Woke Queens, and a side slam by Shaw as well. By the way, Keitel for this portion of the match is your babyface in peril. There's a great series of clotheslines by Giselle Shaw on Keitel. Man, Giselle Shaw is such a good heel, and she's such a solid worker. Every time, and I've seen her work in WoW as well. She is real good. So there we go. So just lost my place in my notes here because I was going off on Giselle. There we go. Valkyrie eventually gets the hot tag and takes out both of their teams with kicks and enziguris. Valkyrie finds a cookie sheet. I love this spot. She finds a cookie sheet under the ring. At least it looked like a cookie sheet. It could be maybe a bread pan. I don't know. She goes into the ring and she swings it, hits the top turnbuckle, not the turnbuckle, but the top rope with it, and she clonks herself on the head with it. That was a fun spot. And they pull out a table with barbed wire on it. Can't say I was expecting barbed wire. They start throwing chairs into the ring. And then Keitel takes one of these chairs and hits Shaw with it, but it's a bit of a weak chair shot. But the Wokes follow up. Made me completely forgot about the spot when they hit that spinning neckbreaker Samoan drop combo. There's a pair of Germans that follow by the Medusa Complex as they get back into this match. Sami Zayn hits a nice back elbow and an enziguri on Mackenzie as well. She hits a rope hung back, she eats a rope hung backstabber. And then the scary spot. Millie McKenzie spears Sami Zayn, who's on the apron, on the outside of the apron. Spears her through the second rope, sending Zayn off the apron through the barbed wire table. But Sami Zayn's head bounces off the bottom step of the entrance ramp. It bounces off. And I see Dan Reed, who is one of the co-owners of Pro Wrestling Eve. You see him on TV. He just rushes right over to check on her. He just runs right over there, and I don't know exactly what went on, but they roll her back into the ring and she gets pinned by I think it's Valkyrie who gets the pin. It's one of the Woke Queens. I don't remember which one. And I'm going to tell you, so Shaw and Evans are out of the match, and they immediately Evans disappears. So I'm not sure exactly what happened, but it really does feel like did I say Evans? Excuse me, Sami Zayn. Pardon me, Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn I looked hurt. It looked like it was bad. And I hope she's okay. And if this was not the planned finish, because if they went to finish because Jane was hurt, if this was not the planned finish between the Woke Queens and the Medusa Complex, to have these two teams be the final two, by God, you couldn't tell. These ladies put it together and did some fantastic on-the-fly improv here. You could not tell that this was not, whether this was planned or not. So the Complex and Queens fight on some chairs. They sit each other down and they trade some strikes, some shots. The Queens start to pick Evans apart, Charlie Evans apart. She's your babyface in peril for the majority of the match here until she hits a dragon screw leg whip on Valkyrie, and they double clothesline each other down. Mackenzie finally gets the hot tag in with a German suplex, a spear, but she can't put Keitel away. Valkyrie hits a second rope moonsault on Mackenzie. Keitel shoves a handful of those, I don't know exactly how you call them, those acupuncture sticks. She just has a handful of them, and she just plants them on Charlie Evans's head and starts just ramming them into her forehead. Looked kind of gruesome. She bled a little bit, but didn't look as bad. The end result wasn't as bad as it looked. Then Evans runs in with wielding akimbo staple guns, which was hilarious. But they win. they essentially win. Medusa Complex are your new Eve Tag Team Champions. Charlie Evans hit the got an armbar in, got an armbar lockdown, and was using the staple gun, which was it was a fun ending. So this was really good. This was a really solid, fun main event. I like I said, I just want to make sure that Sami Zayn is okay, because man, that bump was not pretty. That was not pretty at all. But I'm still glad that they were able to manage a great main event. This was a fun show. This was really, really a fun show. And if you haven't watched it, if you're listening to this and wondering if you're on the fence or anything, look, there's 2 matches you really should watch here. There's the main event and Austin versus Sakazaki, which was real good stuff. It was an entertaining time from top to bottom, don't get me wrong. And you can pick it up on Fight TV if you want the pay-per-view, or it'll be available on Eve On Demand later on next week. Usually Eve updates on Tuesdays, so that'll probably be when it pops up, I guess. But this definitely worth the watch. Definitely worth the watch. Setting up some storylines moving forward, but also a great show that can live on its own. Great moment. And just fantastic stuff from some great wemen. There you have it. We're going to wrap this one up here this afternoon. And we're going to wrap this one up this afternoon. Late afternoon. And I'm going to go have some dinner, or start making some dinner anyway. And I hope you guys had a good afternoon, and I want to thank you all for joining me. Hope you had a good time coming in to watch the post show here or listen to it here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. Don't forget, tomorrow, 2 p.m., hopes and wishes for 2020. Nothing but good stuff. What we would like to see from promotions everywhere in professional wrestling. And otherwise, I will be back here next Thursday for the regular edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. So, gals and guys, thank you all so very much for joining, and I'll see you next time.